Good evening, and thank you to all the candidates for joining us for candidate forums hosted by the League of Women Voters. My name is Amy Phillips. I will be your moderator for this forum. This forum is being live streamed and also recorded for playback on the City of Fargo's government PEG TV channel, TV Fargo 56. This recording will also be posted on the League of Women Voters of the Red River Valley Facebook page and on its YouTube page. The League of Women Voters posts complete, unedited recordings of forums. Editing is authorized only for official media reporting. Excerpts or edited clips of candidate forums may not be used for partisan political purposes. We want to thank the City of Fargo for providing the space and technical assistance for this evening's event. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization encouraging informed and active participation in government and works to increase understanding of major public policy issues and influences public policy through education and advocacy. If you would like to learn about the League, please visit our website, LWV of the Red River Valley, or find us on Facebook, or you can talk to any of the volunteers that are here tonight. The League of Women Voters sponsors candidate forums to provide the public with an opportunity to hear candidates discuss the issues that are important to members of the public. As a nonpartisan organization, the League does not support or oppose any political party or candidate. The views expressed in each forum are those of the candidates, not those of the League of Women Voters. Before we begin, I'd like to review the rules and procedures. Questions have been submitted in advance by the public on index cards for this event. Questions may have been screened for clarity or combined with similar questions. All candidates will be given an opportunity to address each question. Our candidates participating tonight are from the District 27 State Senate race. Each candidate will have 1 minute for their opening remarks. Each will then be allowed 1 minute to respond to each question. At the conclusion of the Q&A period, candidates will be given another 1 minute for their closing remarks, 1 minute each. A timer, this is our timer over here, will indicate how much time is remaining and will indicate when your time is done. When you hear the buzzer, that means your time has expired. Please complete your sentence or thought so that we may move on to the next candidate or question. We will begin the 1 minute opening statement now, starting first with Sonia. Thank you.
First, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum so we can potentially discuss important issues such as affordable housing, affordable childcare, teacher retention, and an outdated energy system. We don't have time for legislation rooted in fear or misinformed stances. We don't have time for false solutions to our energy crisis. We need people like myself who has a history of studying sustainability issues, talking with people, and organizing group efforts. I am in touch with the people of our district and am running to stand up for the everyday person of North Dakota. My priorities include meeting the diverse needs of families, appropriating funds for the benefit of the people, and bringing our energy economy into the 21st century. Thank you.
Thank you. Kristen.
Thank you. Kristen Roars. I am the current state senator for District 27. I'm a nurse in my day job, and that is something that I carry through into my legislative work as well. One of the biggest things facing all of our businesses in this state is workforce, and that's something that I want to work towards in this next legislative session to try and find solutions. We know that we cannot solve our own problem with the bodies we have in North Dakota today. So how do we make North Dakota the most attractive place for people from other states, but also other countries to come here and work and make North Dakota a better place to live? We need to work on our economy. Inflation right now is affecting everybody's daily life. We also know that childcare is affecting both people's quality of life, but also their ability to participate in the workforce. And then our mental health crisis is one of the biggest things that we really need to work on, whether that's in our schools or in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Ruth.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ruth Buffalo, and I am a enrolled citizen of the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara Nation. I am originally from Mandaree, which is located on the western side of the state, in a small rural community called Mandaree. My husband, Brian, and I are small business owners, and we are the proud parents of 4 intelligent and talented children. I'm also a community advocate and a public health professional, and it has been a great honor, absolute honor and privilege to be one of the State House representatives elected and to serve the people of North Dakota in District 27 these past 4 years. Never would I have imagined leading and being called to serve during a global pandemic. There's so much that I have learned and so much that has been bright light has been shown on a lot of existing issues that we already knew prior to the pandemic, including childcare issues, workforce issues, access to healthcare, behavioral health issues. It would be a great honor to continue serving. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom.
Hi, my name is Thomas Gassler, and I grew up just outside of Williston, a small town called Beaufort, North Dakota. I moved to Fargo to go to school at NDSU, where I met my wife, Sierra, and we've been married for 10 years, and we have 2 children, Cameron and Quinn. I got into this race because I believe that politics are personal, and the things that you want to see happen, whether in Bismarck or in our district, that we should be able to roll up our sleeves and get those things done, childcare and inflation and all of these different things. I have work in a pest control in my day job, and with that, I've been allowed to really be able to solve problems in weirdly different ways, and so I hope I can take that experience to Bismarck. Thank you.
Thank you. Josh.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you to the League for hosting this event. Appreciate to be here tonight. Share a little bit about myself and my background. I'm an entrepreneur and small business owner. Work in the technology space. Married with 3 young children down in the Deer Creek neighborhood. And I'm running today to make sure that we keep our district, our state, one of the best areas to raise a family, one of the best areas to start a business. And there's huge infrastructure needs that are happening within our district, as well as we all know, childcare, schools. There's a lot going on in our district. I'm sure we're going to get to the bottom of a lot of that here tonight. So thanks for having me. I look forward to the conversation.
Okay, thank you. And Greg.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you to the League of Women Voters. My name is Greg Steeman. I'm a serving representative in District 27 at this point in time, and I'm originally from Dickey, North Dakota. I graduated from Lemoore High School, grew up on a family farm, and have resided in Fargo for a little over 3 years. I was appointed to replace Thomas Beadle when he won the state treasurer election. And I can tell you this, I had an opportunity to serve on the State Board of Higher Education for about 3.5 years. It was a great honor. But outside of being a father to a wonderful 18-year-old daughter, I've never been more honored than to serve the citizens of District 27 and the citizens of North Dakota in the State House of Representatives. And I look forward to earning your vote as we move forward, and I look forward to dealing with the issues that have been discussed, a variety of them, and I know they'll all be discussed this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for those opening statements. We now move on to audience questions. And the first question of the evening, which is going to go to Kristen first, is, what makes you a qualified candidate in this race?
It's funny how the most generic question is sometimes the hardest to answer. I would say that there's a few things. Number one, my relationship building skills, I would say, is one of the things that has stood out the most to my colleagues in the legislature, but also in our district. I think that I have done a good job of staying in contact with our constituents, but also making sure that I have good relationships on both sides of the aisle, but then also both chambers. I think that to be an effective legislator and to be able to speak on behalf of Fargo, when sometimes it's Fargo versus the world out in Bismarck, is something that you need to be able to be that voice that people go to, someone they know that they can listen to and know that they can trust the answers that they get from them.
Thank you. Ruth.
I believe I am the best candidate for one of the State House representative seats because I am a lifelong North Dakotan. I understand our communities, and I have a strong sense of the pulse of what happens within our communities, more from the community up rather than the top down. I am a great collaborator, and I am not selective in my relationships within the state capitol. I am open to building relationships across the aisle. In fact, in our state legislature, you have to work across the aisle. The Democratic Nonpartisan League Caucus is but a very small sliver of representation within the state legislature. My lived experience and unique background, I have a bachelor's of science in criminal justice. I have 3 different master's degrees, one in management, business administration from the University of Mary, and a master of public health from NDSU. I believe in finding upstream solutions that are very inclusive of all people. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom?
I'm qualified because I believe I can break down barriers. I'm able to talk to people of all stripes, come to common sense solutions with people, be able to talk to people about the needs that they have, whether it's infrastructure, childcare, different things like that, and making sure that I can use their input to make sure that we can kind of work together.
Thank you. Josh?
As a small business owner, I get to see a lot of different adversity, different challenges that we're faced with, from workforce development through to hiring and training, really everything that goes along with owning a business. And I feel like I have the leadership capability to adequately represent our district for the needs that it has currently. I'm looking forward to the opportunity if I am so lucky to be elected on November.
Thank you. Greg?
I appreciate the opportunity to go to the state legislature and actually be a listener. And I think that's one of the things that I'm able to bring is I don't necessarily have to go out there and insinuate that I have all the solutions, because there are a lot of innovative ideas and a lot of opportunities to listen to a lot of different ideas and find out what the best solution is. Our priorities change from session to session. And we might think that we know what the priorities are, but when we get out there, the priorities might be different because this is the world we live in. And I think it's important to be able to listen, sit back, digest all the information, and then have discussions about what the best solution is moving forward. And that is one of the neat things about our state legislature, is that the system works well in committees. We're able to vet things, and more often than not, we come out with quality legislation. So that's what I believe I bring.
Thank you. Next question will go to Ruth.
Wait.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sonia. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
I am well educated. I have numerous life experiences that are common to a broad spectrum of people in our district. I seek to understand by doing research, asking questions, and taking extra coursework when relevant. I am the only candidate speaking out against the ridiculous carbon capture proposal called Project Tundra. Project Tundra is unsafe, insanely expensive, increases CO2 emissions, decreases efficiency, and raises your tax burden. Equally important, I listen to the experiences and needs of the people, and I am ready to synthesize all that I have learned to find a way to accommodate the needs of the people.
Thank you. Next audience question goes to Ruth first, and that is, please explain to us how governing differs from running a business. Does experience in one automatically qualify you to do another well?
So as a small business owner and as someone who did not grow up in a household that was familiar with either party, the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, from what I know and my experience and what I have learned, the government works for the people. The government needs to serve the people, whereas with a business, you are targeting a certain type of customer. And so to me, there's a stark difference between government and business. again, the government must and needs to work for the people, and businesses target their specific audience and customers. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom?
I believe that if you have with small business, you can use some of those skills for governance. As a small business, working for a small business, I always try to put the needs of the people first with whatever I'm doing, and trying to get people to where they need to go. If elected, would just. I believe that we can. Just go on. Thank you.
Okay. Josh?
There are definitely some parallels. I haven't served in Bismarck before, so I can't speak to what it is out there, like Kristen or Greg or Ruth are able to do. However, there's some skill sets that are developed by running a business. You need to be able to listen to what's happening. You need to be able to break down the problem and understand how can you serve, whether it's your customers or your constituents. I'm there to listen. I'm there to learn. I'm there to put in the hard work. As our district continues to grow, it's really important that we elect leaders that are going to show up and put in the work, and I believe I'm the right person to do that.
Thank you. Greg?
There are some similar characteristics, and I think when it comes to being an effective member of a political body or being an effective business leader, I think leadership skills matter. And I think there's similarities there. But when it comes to who you are accountable to in private business, you're accountable to shareholders. You're accountable to what's the bottom line. In politics, you're accountable to the people that we work for, the people that we represent, and the people that we serve. And therein lies, I think, a major difference. But I do believe that there are skill sets of both aspects that allow you to be successful in being able to pass effective legislation. But it's very important that we don't confuse the two, because oftentimes in business, you're going to do what the CEO says you do. And in politics, it's important that we do what's best for the people that we represent, what's best for the people of North Dakota, what's best for the people of District 27.
Thank you. Sonia?
I think there are skills of business leaders that can certainly transfer to the government, but I believe the goal of a business is to make profits. The goal of government is the safety and the good of the people, and also to levelize the playing field so everybody has a decent shot in life.
Thank you. Kristen?
Thank you. Not to repeat a lot of what the people have previously answered, I think there's two additional things. I think scale is one of the biggest things that's different between running a business and governing. The scale of the decisions that you're making affect so many more people when you're looking at the whole of the state, the whole of a community, rather than an individual business. And I think making sure that we think in those perspectives is something that's very important. And the second thing is that we need to make sure that in government, we are not picking the winners and losers. We are setting that level playing field. We're setting the rules of the road, and then the businesses can come in and try to find a way to make it the best they can for their business. And I think those are kind of the two distinct things that I didn't hear specifically mentioned that I wanted to add.
Thank you. Next question from the audience is going to Tom first, and that is specifically, how will you work on a bipartisan basis to accomplish goals for all North Dakotans?
Well, running as a Democrat in North Dakota, you have to work across the aisle. There's, 14 in the House. And so wanting to do projects that are nonpartisan have been a big deal to my candidacy. Getting the universal hot lunch program back into North Dakota schools is a big priority for me. Making sure that we can get quality infrastructure into, not only Deer Creek, Horace, and Oxbow, but making sure that it's all over District 27. Making sure that childcare is affordable, that places can open up classrooms that are shut down because they don't have workers, making sure that we can kind of accomplish all of these goals that's good for the entirety of the community, not only in North Dakota, not only for 27, but everyone.
Thank you. Josh?
I think a lot of the candidates that are up here tonight want the same things. We want a safe a safe place to live. We want care for our children. We want to make sure that taxes are fair. And I think there's a lot that if we sit down and talk together and come to the point of this is about the constituents, this is not about me, this is not about anything other than how do we make District 27 the best place to live, grow a family. I think if we can come to that central point, there's gonna be a lot that we find that's in common with each other, and that we don't have to be divisive, we don't have to be against something. What can we be for?
Thank you. Greg?
I think Josh makes some very good points. At the end of the day, the majority of the representatives and senators in the state of North Dakota have much more in common than they have differences. Are there some lightning rod and specific issues that people love to divide people about? Without question. But at the end of the day, I think people agree with what makes North Dakota the amazing state that it is. And yes, to echo some of the sentiments, we want to continue to be business friendly. We want to continue to have safe schools. We want to continue to help out the underprivileged in a manner that allows them to not become dependent, but make gains. And so these things much more unites us than what divides us. And I think in the chamber, I have great conversations with people across the aisle, and I have great respect for them. And there's no question that we can continue to work in a manner that allows both parties to be effective.
Thank you. Sonia?
In Bismarck, it doesn't matter if someone is a Republican or a Democrat. What matters is if they have a good idea. So let's focus on the merit of ideas instead of labels. Good communication is key. Poor communication leads to misunderstanding and can set off reactions that are misplaced. A good communication strategy is to identify the needs of the opposing parties and find a way to honor those needs while satisfying your own. I would also solicit testimony from people who the proposed legislation affects, because ignorance leads to poor policy, and you can't argue with someone's lived experiences.
Thank you. Kristen?
I believe that I'm known for being open to ideas, and I would tell you that many of my Democratic colleagues would actually say that I'm one of the first people in the Senate that they would go to with a different idea. Often we all agree on what the problem is. It's different ways to solve that problem is where we come at things. And I think that the more we can have those conversations, we can have those open dialogues, we can have great relationships across the aisle, the better legislation that comes out of it. I can tell you specifically one of my committees that it wasn't necessarily the partisan split, but the willingness to ask good questions that made a difference in policy.
Thank you. Ruth?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yes, if I can find it here.
I think it's basically
How would you specifically work on a bipartisan basis to accomplish goals for all North Dakotans?
Yes, thank you for the question. It's so important, as I mentioned earlier, we are but a sliver of representation within the state legislature, so it is imperative that we work across the aisle. You absolutely cannot get anything done without working across the aisle. It has been an interesting experience for me so far in the state legislature. For example, my first legislative session in 2019, I was able to introduce 8 pieces of legislation, 7 of which passed, all bipartisan support and efforts. And then my second legislative session, which was during the pandemic, was really the complete opposite. And so I'm looking forward to less polarized times and better working across the aisle and less polarization within the halls of the state legislature. As the only Native American woman currently serving and woman of color, there have been challenges, and I hope that more diverse voices will join me in Bismarck. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question from this audience goes to Josh. That question is, everyone will answer this one. The USDA voucher program ended for the 2022-2023 school year. Do you support state-funded universal hot lunch for K through 12 public schools?
I believe we need to look at a solution. During the pandemic, a lot of things changed, and the ability for children at school that couldn't get food otherwise were given breakfast and lunch. I think that's not acceptable when that's pulled out from underneath them. I do think we need to provide some sort of funding to help those that aren't able to afford those hot lunches, possibly breakfast as well, to make sure that our kids are taken care of. So I do support some sort of legislation to help our children make sure that they're taken care of nutritionally.
Thank you. Greg?
Thank you for the question. There are a number of factors that go into this. And first of all, you look at it, you're going to end the voucher program, and then we're going to end it at a time when food prices are at an all-time high in recent history. I think we have to mitigate that a little bit. I think we have to look at maybe some guidelines, free and reduced lunches. People who qualify for free and reduced, let's make sure they're still being taken care of. And maybe we bump that up a little bit because of the record inflation that we're experiencing. I think those are discussions that can take place. Right now, the state does have some surplus, and so you can look at maybe some one-time funding for a biennium that could allow us a 2-year cushion to absorb that, and maybe inflation gets back under control, and maybe we can get back down to that free and reduced lunch border that would allow us to maybe, make wise decisions financially. But I think it has to be something that, if we can't sustain it, it has to be a one-time funding and allow us 2 years to get back to where we need to get to.
Okay, thank you. Sonia?
I would support universal hot lunch, or I would also be willing to look at helping those students that fall through the cracks that maybe don't quite qualify for the federal reduced lunch program, but still are struggling at home.
Thank you. Kristen?
Thank you. I would like to echo a few things that have been said, and I think sustainable funding is one of the biggest things that we need to look at. We have so many proposals on the table right now for how we can use any of the surplus dollars we have, whether that be from the legacy fund earning, from any of the other funds that are out there. And I think that we have this tendency to think that we can be everything to everyone. And the biggest thing is I don't want to promise that, yes, this is the hill I'm going to die on, because I don't know what the other hills are yet. And so I think we need we do need to take a look at this. We need to understand what the problem is and find out what is that income threshold that should be and is it a graduated cliff where, rather than you either qualify or you don't, there's a way that you can qualify for kind of a portion of that coverage, so that we don't have people who are qualifying one day and the next day get nothing.
Thank you. Ruth?
I do, sorry, let me start over. I do support universal hot lunches. As I mentioned earlier, I believe the global pandemic definitely shined a bright light on existing issues. I firmly believe in finding upstream solutions and looking at the root causes. I believe supporting and funding universal hot lunches is only but a Band-Aid, and so we need to look further upstream and find comprehensive solutions. There is, unfortunately, a very large income gap or income inequality within the state of North Dakota, as well as regionally and across the country. So I believe that we do need to work further upstream to find long-term solutions. It's going to take longer than 2 years, but I definitely believe we need to find ways to support our working families. As we know, many families are just one family emergency away from being unhoused. So how do we find upstream solutions to continue supporting our working families? Thank you.
Thank you. Tom?
I absolutely support the Universal Hot Lunch program. Like was said earlier, it was a product of COVID that the USDA basically said, let's make sure that the child poverty or the people who are struggling with food insecurity doesn't go down. And it didn't at all during COVID. And then it went away at the beginning of this school year. I believe that we can find a solution to make sure that every kid in North Dakota gets not only breakfast, but also lunch. They're required to be there. Why can't we provide them with food? And it doesn't matter what their parents make. Those kids make $0. And so we can do something here in North Dakota to make sure that all kids get lunch. Simple as that.
Thank you. All right, our next question from the audience, we will start with Greg. And that is, a major barrier to home ownership is more than just prices. Property groups buy up homes, driving prices up and leaving fewer homes available to buyers. What are your thoughts on this?
Thank you for the question, Amy. And there are a number of factors impacting this. First of all, I hesitate as a state government to jump into the free market and try to limit people's opportunities. What we're looking at right now is a rising interest rate environment where we got very accustomed to minimal level interest rates, which made home ownership extremely easy. Now, as we creep up, this becomes a little more difficult. And I think it comes down to, the financial planning aspect of things. It's hard for us as a state government to say that we need to make housing more affordable. That's really us limiting the free market. And I think that's a dangerous step to take because there are so many other areas that we become leaned on, so to speak, when somebody says, well, this isn't fair. I think it's going to be more difficult to own a home as interest rates continue to rise and as inflation continues to stay at record levels.
Okay, thank you. Sonia.
I think this is more of a local control issue and something that should be up to city planning. But I certainly am willing to study the possibility of legislation to address the problem.
Okay, Kristen.
I too struggle to see where the government's role in limiting businesses from buying land would be the best solution in this scenario. I think that is a part of the system that we have. And if we think that that's not working, I think we need to understand a little bit better what is it that isn't working. One of the things that is a benefit of having larger developers developing larger pieces of land is the ability to do that centralized planning to make sure that we understand the needs of that community as it's being built rather than one individual on each block kind of changing the rules each time you do that. So I think we need to look and see what is the true problem here before we try and come up with the solution.
Thank you. Ruth.
Could you repeat the question?
Yes. A major barrier to home ownership is more than just prices. Property groups buy up homes, driving prices up and leaving fewer homes available to buyers. What are your thoughts on this?
So from going door to door since the middle of May, I spent 2 months in Horace, and as we all know, Horace is one of the most fastest growing towns in North Dakota. There are 5 different housing developments there currently, and what I've heard at the doors from homeowners is concern of different property groups receiving tax breaks, and also how there is an imbalance between current homeowners and special assessments and property taxes. And so it was interesting to me to hear at the doors that property groups and are many people out there at the doors, from what I've been hearing across, District 27, is that there is an imbalance. And I've heard people, quote unquote, say, why are these big property groups, why are they getting tax breaks? So I think there is an opportunity to educate. It is a local issue, but at the same time, it does become our responsibility as state legislators to help improve the quality of life of the people within District 27.
Thank you. Tom.
Yeah, so how many of these apartments in town are going for more than a mortgage would be? Making sure that we can help people out, whether it's low-cost grant programs or some sort of loan programs through the Bank of North Dakota. We have those things available that we could do some real good for the constituents of 27 and North Dakota. When somebody pays $1,600 a month for a house that they could have bought and their mortgage could have been somewhere like $1,200. So making sure that we can get these people into these homes that they're already in, just making sure that, the state can help in some way, whether, like I said, low-cost loans or something like that.
Okay, Josh?
I also struggle to see where, at the legislature level, what we can be doing. I think it starts with city planning and local control. It doesn't help when interest rates have just skyrocketed out of sight. Housing prices have exploded for new builds because of cost of goods going up. Plus, I also feel that there are some programs out there. I think there's possibly through legislature the opportunity to expand some of the grant programs or things like that. But I do think that there's certain factors that at the legislature we may not be able to control, and is possibly better suited, with the city planning, the county planning.
Thank you. Okay, our next audience question will go to Sonia first. What is your position on reproductive rights, and what role do you think the legislature should play in addressing them?
Excuse me. Government has no place in making deeply personal decisions made in the healthcare clinics or in the bedrooms. Instead, we need to focus on giving doctors the respect and the license to do what they are trained to do, treat their patients in a way that brings the best physical and mental health outcomes. Legislators have no right regulating a woman's healthcare decision, especially legislators who have no compassion or understanding for the variety of life-threatening situations that women face, who will never experience the toll of a 9-month pregnancy or face the pain and suffering of a mother not able to provide for her children. In addition to healthcare concerns, supporting abortion bans is a full-on assault on women's ability to achieve economic stability and equality. The data shows that states with abortion bans have a lower female-to-male earnings ratio. And finally, in 2014, the people of North Dakota rejected an abortion ban as indicated by the personhood measure.
Thank you. Kristen?
As a lifelong Catholic, I am a pro-life candidate, and I'm unapologetically so. In my 4 years representing District 27, I have heard from far more of our constituents who are pro-life than are pro-choice. I think that the current laws that we have on the books, though, do need some work. I'm in favor of the exceptions that we currently have listed there, but they need to be switched to an exception and not an affirmative defense. We need to be very, very clear and concise in our language so that our healthcare providers are aware of what is and is not allowed and not have any gray area. We need to make sure that anybody who reads the language will interpret it in exactly the same way. And so I think the biggest thing is making sure that there is no room for interpretation, that we are clear, we are concise, and that we are consistent.
Thank you. Ruth?
Yes, I believe that the government should not interfere in deeply personal decisions like abortion, contraception, and IVF. Again, there was concern with the trigger ban that it'll put the lives and the health of pregnant people at risk because doctors will hesitate to treat emergency situations like ectopic pregnancies due to their legal jeopardy. But again, I do not believe that the government should interfere with a woman's right to choose how she seeks health care and what she chooses to do with her body.
Thank you. Tom?
I'm a big supporter of reproductive rights. I want to make sure that a woman's right to choose whatever healthcare choices they decide to make, that they get the same rights I get. I also want to make sure that, regarding abortions, getting things in there to understand not only those healthcare decisions, but making sure that we're taking care of people that, whether it's contraceptions, IVF, all of those things, that people are able to make those sorts of choices for themselves. Because, the last question, we're talking about government's role in housing, government's role in this. I mean, there's definite things where government should be and shouldn't be, and this is one they should not be in.
Thank you. Josh?
The current state is we do have a trigger law in place from 2007 that, as Kristen had said, the exceptions are in the life of the mother, rape or incest. I also feel that we need sound and descriptive language to not leave any gray area. I want to make sure that the doctors are well protected in those cases to not be charged with a major crime when they're trying to help their patient. My wife and I were having this conversation the other night, and we lost a child at the end of the second trimester. And the topic turned to if that was something to where she was having to choose. And I said I would choose your life, and she said I would choose the life of our son. And so I am pro-life. It's not an easy conversation to have. And as a husband and father of 3 daughters, that's my belief.
Thank you. Greg?
Thank you for the question. It's a very difficult topic to discuss. And I also am father of an 18-year-old daughter. And at 22 weeks, her mother and I, had to make a decision that we needed to have a process to save what we considered to be an unborn child, a life. And so I believe that the unborn children need a voice as well. And so I am pro-life. I am in favor of the exceptions, the rape, incest, welfare of the mother. And as difficult as these discussions can be, I just think it comes down to where do you value that unborn child or not. And the last thing, I will echo the sentiments of my running mates, is that we have to clear up the language so that we do not put our healthcare providers in any type of jeopardy whatsoever. I think things have to be cleaned up. It has to be very, very black and white for our providers in order for the trigger law to be effective.
Thank you. I believe we have time for one more question from the audience before we move on to closing statements. And this one goes to Kristen first. What do you believe is the primary role of government?
Told you it's the generic ones that are the hard ones. The primary role of government is, for me, to set the rules and get out of the way. I think we have gotten to a place where we've tried to have the government be a little bit more than I believe it needs to be. So the lightest hand possible while maintaining safety and security for our residents.
Ruth?
I believe the role of the government is to work for the people and not for corporate interests. Thank you.
Okay. Tom?
So I have this conversation with my mom quite often of what government can be. And her phrase that she always uses is what government is, what we can't do ourselves, we can do together. So, building roads and making sure that people have better lives is what the role of government is. It's to give you a hand up, not a hand out, making sure that we can do these things together, that our communities are better because of it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Josh?
I believe the government is there to serve the people. We're here to help build the infrastructure, make sure that our citizens have what they need, and as Kristen so eloquently stated, get out of the way.
Okay. Greg?
I'm going to go back to something my opponent said, Thomas. I agree with you. It's, what we can't do alone, we can do together. There are certain things that we need. If my house is on fire, I sure hope the fire department shows up. And if there's a crime being committed, I hope the police show up. And I want us to fund basic necessities in the proper manner. And I want us to fund infrastructure in an effective manner so that all citizens can benefit. And I'm also one of these people that sometimes when we have one party in control of one branch in D.C. and the other party in control of the other branch, I'm going, good. Maybe nobody will do anything right now. I would love to see less legislation introduced. And as my running mate also said, and Josh alluded to, I would love to see our role be to set people up to be successful on their own, guarantee equal opportunity, not necessarily guarantee equal results, but guarantee equal opportunity for everybody, and get out of the way and let our citizens be successful.
Sonia?
Government is supposed to serve the people, supposed to look out for the safety and the good of the people. It's supposed to levelize the playing field, and it should protect the people from corporate power It's very troubling what I'm seeing with carbon capture because these projects rely on 45Q tax credits, which basically serve the corporate interests and provide them with huge profits at the expense of the safety and the good of the people.
Thank you. Okay. This concludes the question and answer portion of this forum. Thanks to all of the candidates for participating. For the audience at home, if you'd like to continue learning more about your candidates, the League has partnered with Forum Communications to present the vote411.org Voters Guide. Everyone can go to that to learn more about North Dakota's candidates' positions on important issues. Stay tuned to the forum and the League Facebook page. The Voters Guide is live on vote411.org. We will now move into closing remarks from the candidates, and we will start with Ruth.
Thank you. It has been an absolute honor to be a State House representative within these past 4 years, and I would be honored to earn the people's vote to continue serving another 4 years. I will listen and continue to listen and get down in the trenches and work hard on your behalf. I will not give up, and I will continue to serve the people of District 27. Coming from a small rural community on western North Dakota, I had to work hard for everything that I have earned, and I believe in going straight through tough processes with courage and with a lot of love for my neighbors. And I think we need more compassion and empathy within the halls of the state legislature, and I will definitely bring this as a mother, as a big sister, and as a lifelong North Dakotan. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom.
I just want to say thank you to everyone up here tonight. And to the League of Women Voters. This is always it's very important to be able to talk about these issues in a respectful and wonderful manner. I really got into this race because I want to help people at the end of the day. I've sat at the kitchen table and wondered how I was going to pay daycare that week. And I've wondered on some of those times how am I going to afford my first house? How am I going to do these things? And I really think we have a shot here in North Dakota to make sure that we can help out and we can do those things. And, I'm just, I hope I can earn your vote. Thank you.
Josh.
Thank you, Amy, for moderating. Thank you to the League of Women Voters, to my running mates, and to our competition. Thanks for being here tonight. It was a wonderful conversation. I hope I can garner your vote November 8th, and I promise I will work hard for you as a legislator. I will not be an absentee voter. I will be there in the trenches, working for you day in and day out. As our district continues to grow very rapidly, it's very important to elect leaders who will show up and do the job, and I believe I'm the right person to do that. So I hope I can garner your vote in November, and again, thank you all very much.
Okay. Greg?
Also, thank you, Amy. Thank you, League of Women Voters of the Red River Valley. I'm very appreciative for the opportunity. I thank my running mates. I thank our counterparts as well. Very interesting discussion this evening, and I think that's important. My dad's 85, my mom's 80. They live on the family farm, and Dad is my brother's best hired man, and he never asked for anything, but he earned everything. And Mom and Dad did that together, and that's what I love about North Dakota. I think that is the fabric of what North Dakota stands for. And I also know that District 27, I'm willing to bet at least your paycheck, Amy, that District 27 is the fastest growing district in the state. It really is. Horace is growing like crazy. South Fargo, Oxbow. There are many issues that we have to address, and I believe my running mates and I are best equipped to say, you know what, we're going to go out there and fight for District 27, not at the expense of the state, but for the citizens of District 27.
Thank you. Sonia?
Thank you to all who are participating tonight. I believe the people of North Dakota want a legislator who stays informed on issues affecting the state, who stays in touch with the people and speaks on their behalf. People expect legislators to make wise investments with their hard-earned tax dollars, investments that will benefit the people and not special interest groups. Like it or not, the world is changing. we need the courage to change with it. We are experiencing an unprecedented climate reality, and our economy is suffering for it. I have the wisdom and abilities needed to keep our state well-positioned in a changing economy. I understand the importance of doing background research and building policy based on real data. I believe the goal of a compassionate government is to help communities move forward into a sustainable future and a stable, healthy economy. I ask for your vote so we can implement the changes needed to move us forward.
Thank you. And Kristen.
Thank you, and thank you for everyone who's here in the audience as well. We appreciate all of your questions, your presence. It's been an honor and a privilege to listen to, represent, and speak on behalf of my constituents. I'm proud to help create and execute the vision of a healthy and prosperous North Dakota, and it would be my honor to continue to do that for the next 4 years.
Okay, thank you. Thank you again to all of our candidates tonight, for the audience for being here, for the questions they submitted, especially to the League of Women Voters for sponsoring this forum, and also for the City of Fargo for their assistance tonight. Thank you very much.